Good evening, friends. We are almost ready to commence, but not quite. So you do have some more time. It's a great pleasure to have you here for our Schimmel Soiree as we welcome into the building this beautiful concert grand piano. Our lovely cathedral stands on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. Sovereign land that was taken and not ceded. We at St. Paul's want to see a more just settlement for indigenous people, and we pay our respects to the elders of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and we acknowledge their right and their responsibility to take care for country. And we extend a particular honor and welcome to First Nations people here, or engaging with the recording of this concert to enable those who are suffering from COVID and who would have wanted to have been here to participate in the event. It gives me great pleasure to introduce as our first pianist, Lachlan Redd, our sub-organist, who also is an accomplished concert pianist. Let's make him welcome. Thank you so much, Lachlan, for introducing us to this magnificent instrument. We have a wonderful cathedral organ, and for the last few decades, really, we've been looking for an instrument to match it. And we found it in this Schimmel grand piano, which we are hoping to acquire. And I'd like to thank all those of you who have already made a donation to support the purchase of this piano through the work of our Music Foundation, some of you very generously indeed. There will be opportunity for us to have a good look at the instrument and to enjoy some refreshment, and also for us to make our own donations. Tonight's short program hopefully will show off the piano at its most powerful and its most subtle in all the varied ways in which it can be used. And I'm delighted that all of our cathedral musicians are coming together in order to present this program. The next performer involves myself, and I do this with trepidation. I was an accomplished singer in my youth and now mainly sing liturgical music, but I couldn't resist the temptation to present you with a wonderful, tiny little jewel of music by German composer Franz Schubert, his ode to music, in which he reflects on the great gift that music gives us in connecting heaven and earth and in giving us something that is greater than ourselves, in which we may find ourselves. An die Musik. And of course, I'd like to extend warm thanks to Ross Caroline, who accompanied me in this little tiny jewel. I would like to invite Paul Glass to come to the keyboard. Paul is a canon of St. Paul's Cathedral. He's also a judge in the Family Court of Australia. He studied piano as a pre-tertiary student at Canberra School of Music under Larry Stitsky AO and Gabor Rosa. He continued his studies here in Melbourne under Ronald Farron Price, AM, a member of our cathedral community, initially at ANAM, the Australian National Academy of Music, and then at Melbourne Grammar School, where he held music scholarships and was a member of the chapel choir and played viola in the orchestra. In 2007, Paul graduated from the Australian National University with bachelor's degrees in law and in psychology. He practiced in Canberra as a solicitor before moving back here to Melbourne in 2009 to take a position at Victorian Legal Aid. He was called to the bar in Victoria in 2011, where he practiced as a family lawyer before accepting an appointment to become a judge magistrate in the Family Court of Western Australia, during which time we waved goodbye to him for a few years, and we were delighted when he was called back to Melbourne and appointed a judge of the Family Court, Federal Circuit and Family Court. He has returned to the piano, even if it moved with him, and he regularly played both at Bottle Snail's Lunchtime Concert Series in the Supreme Court Library as a soloist, as well as an accompanist, and he's also performed with the Melbourne Lawyers Orchestra Chamber Music Concert Series. Let's welcome Canon Paul Glass. And I should add that Paul will be performing Miroir by Maurice Ravel, the Alborada del Gracioso. Thank you so much, Paul. We are delighted to have another chapter canon who will be performing for us tonight, Canon Matt Williams, the vicar of the Old Cathedral and the chair of our finance committee, whose vision and whose personal enthusiasm really made the purchase of this wonderful instrument possible. Matt earned his C. Mas A with distinction in 1996, studying through the Newcastle Conservatorium of Music in New South Wales. In the mid-2000s, he was a regular reviewer of both recorded and live music performances for Limelight and Fine Music magazines. He serves on the board of the Consort of Melbourne, and he regularly commissions new sacred music for his parish consort choir, the Old Cathedral Voices. Matt was ordained in this cathedral in 2009 following studies at Ridley, Melbourne, and has pastored the congregation at the Old Cathedral ever since, where he serves as the vicar. He's developed a distinctive approach to drawing on both scripture and the liturgical integration on choral music so that both inform one another. He serves on our chapter and has done so since 2007 and has been the chair of our finance committee since 2018. He's going to play for us Ludwig van Beethoven's sonata in C-sharp minor for piano, the Adagio sostenuto movement, better known as the Moonlight Sonata. Let's welcome Matt to the piano. This is really the first time that our chapter pianists have played together in the same room. So we give thanks for this opportunity that brings so many wonderfully talented people, not just into the boardroom activities of St. Paul's Cathedral, but also into the music-making life of St. Paul's. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Schimmel pianos. They are manufactured in Brunswick in Germany. The factory was established in the 1880s in Leipzig, and then in the 20s moved to Brunswick in the heart of Germany. It's a very traditional factory, but one that thrives on innovation. The soundboard is made from specific spruce that's grown and harvested at about 1,500 meters above sea level in the Bavarian Alps. There is a small forest set aside for the Schimmel factory. And we have a personal family connection with Schimmel in that my cousin was a piano builder at Schimmel. Not at the time this piano was created, about 10 years ago, but he preceded the manufacture of this particular instrument. I'd like to invite Philip Nichols to say a few words about how the piano came to be here and about our colleagues at Bernie's Piano Land who made the purchase possible.
Thank you, Andreas. We were, as he said, for a long time looking for the right piano for the building, and we'd had it in mind, certainly since I started working here in 2013, that if an opportunity arose, we'd throw our heart and soul into raising the funds to get a really first-rate instrument for the cathedral. Matthew, who you've just heard play the piano so wonderfully, Canon Matthew, got in touch with us in July and had found an instrument which he thought might be the one, and we did our research and we worked out that it wasn't the one. But it got us thinking about whether it would be possible for us to purchase one. And in the process of this, I wrote a letter to my colleague Bernie, and I'm sorry, I've forgotten my phone, which I need to. I wrote a letter to our friend Bernie Capiciano, who had been a long-time supporter of music in the cathedral and has lent us not a piano of quite this stature, but lent us very fine Schimmel pianos for concerts in the past. And I wrote to Bernie apologetically saying I was very sorry that I thought we were going to be buying a piano, but we wouldn't, unfortunately, be buying it from him. I wanted him to hear it from me and not from anyone else. Anyway, he wrote back and he said, keep going with your research on that piano. He said, but don't rule me out just yet. And about a week later, he sent me a very, very competitive quote. His support of us purchasing this piano cannot be understated. Bernie's not able to be with us this evening, but he sent two of his colleagues, Alan and Craig Douglas. Craig, in the past, we've worked together on hiring an instrument which we used whilst our own organ was having its blower replaced, and the result of that is we now have a new rehearsal organ in the rehearsal space upstairs, which is a wonderful outcome. But Bernie's have been great supporters of us for many years, and as a tribute to that, I'd like to read out a message which Bernie sent me today. Hi Philip, for this evening, best wishes and congratulations to all in the Music Foundation and the St. Paul's team on the acquisition of such an amazing Schimmel concert grand. Bernie's Music Land this evening is represented by Craig and Alan, and the Capiciano Family Trust treasure our long-term relationship with St. Paul's and its wonderful music program, and are thrilled to be able to contribute towards such an important initiative to enhance worship and performance for many years to come. So Alan and Craig, if you could pass back to Bernie and his family our great thanks for all of his support, and not least for most current support, and we've had a long experience of working together, and we couldn't work with a better family firm, so thank you very much. Can we offer Bernie and his team a round of applause? Due to ill health, unfortunately, Christy Biber, who's with us, isn't able to perform tonight. She valiantly strode through Evensong. She sang brilliantly in Evensong, but I'm not sure there's anything left in the tank, and for that, I'm sorry, but it's so wonderful to have you here, Christy. Christy, will you come forward? Christy was appointed our leading musician late in 2017 and started in that role at the beginning of February 2018. Christy worked closely with me and with the choirs and with our other music staff and with music staff of parishes around the diocese very closely in helping with diocesan worship and our day-to-day worship in the cathedral. Christy had a daughter, Zoe, about 16 months ago and has been on maternity leave. And in that time, she's worked out being a young mother. This is something I understand not as a young mother, but as a young father. It's very, very difficult to marry the competing demands placed on you when you work for more than one employer and you have a young family. So, Christy, it's been wonderful having you with us. You've set an amazing example for our choristers and for our lay clerks and for the others of us who help to lead music in the cathedral. Thank you for all you've done. We greatly appreciate it, and we hope to see you quite soon in the choir stalls. Thank you.
It's almost time for us to sing, so get your singing voices centered and yourselves ready. But the choir are going to sing for us first. They're going to sing two little short pieces. One is by Samuel Barber, Sure on This Shining Night, and one is by a local hero, Percy Granger, the rather racy setting of the English folk song I'm 17 come Sunday, and we're grateful that Philip, for this particular setting, omitted the brass band that was meant to accompany it.
Kindness,
And thank you also to the trustees of our Music Foundation, who have enabled us to raise funds for this wonderful instrument. As we look forward to the reception that follows, there is an opportunity for us to make donations towards the purchase of this instrument. These are tax deductible, and we're grateful for your support. I'd like to say a special thank you to our principal donor to date, that is, Hans Henkel, who also contributed the Sekt, the sparkling wine from his family cellars that we'll be enjoying later. We do, of course, hope that there will be other more generous donors so that Hans will end up not being the principal donor following the conclusion of this evening's proceedings. We're going to have an opportunity to see how the instrument stands up to accompanying a very large chorus, and that's a chorus of us, the audience members. So if you would like to please stand, and if you would like to turn to page 11 and join in singing Stephen Adams, or Michael Maybricks, as he really was known, The Holy City. Friends, thank you very much indeed for being a part of this wonderful event. Let's thank all our musicians and the Director of Music as well. And I'm sure such wonderful singing must have caused at least some need for refreshment, and so please stay behind and enjoy the hospitality of the cathedral. Philip, you've got a few more words? Enjoy the hospitality of the cathedral.